I got a little bit, I hit my shoe, thank God. Yeah.
You need a whistle. I'm just giving them the stare. That's right.
Stink eye.
I come be by you? Yes, I was waiting. That's why I was yelling at you. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, being 10:30 on Friday, March 17th, I'd like to call the King County Jobs Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Bates, Doherty,
Right here.
Ford,
Present.
Strathman, Young,
Lewis here.
Allen,
Alan present. Happy
Kira?
St. Pat's.
Tepe. You have quorum.
Okay, thank you.
So the stairs should have happened a half an hour ago in the other meeting.
Yeah, it's over. This is just the best part of the Jobs Committee. Okay, we got the bad stuff.
I'm
done.
just making a joke.
All right, I need somebody to do unanimous consent for approval of minutes from February 17th.
Alan moves the minutes.
Unanimous consent to pass the meetings from February 17th of 2023.
Okay. Alan, the second.
32nd.
Okay. No objections? Okay, moving right along to the exciting stuff. Office of Community Reinvestment Workforce Development.
Good morning. This is Scott Berger. I'm on the line. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Morning, Scott.
Excellent. So we do have two items for you this morning. One is informational in nature and the other requires action. First, we have our monthly financial reports. And at this time, I would like to ask our finance manager, Maria Gonzalez, to simply walk you through those reports with an emphasis on highlighting some of the benchmarks that we discussed with you at your last meeting. Maria?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Scott. Turning to page 4
Can
in
you
your
do it
packet,
just a little bit louder, Maria?
Absolutely. My apologies for that. I am also dialing in. If you turn to page 4 on your packet, you will find the WIOA 21 grant report. This report ends on June 30th of this year. We have, through the end of February, fully spent all of these funds that have been allocated to us. The report that you see is through the end of January, as there's usually a month lag when it comes time to reporting information to the timing of the meetings and such. The training benchmark that you see at the bottom half of page 4, that is one of the required benchmarks that we need to be compliant with as part of the guidelines of receiving these funds. It is a 50% minimum. We have attained it by a 54%. The work-based training benchmark for our youth participants, again, at the end of the 2-year cycle, that is to be at 20%. We have achieved that by having it at 28%. If you turn to page 5 of your packet.
Maria?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hate to bother you, but before you move on, will you briefly explain the difference between direct training and work-based training? The bottom
Direct
of page 4?
training is, yes, ma'am. Direct
Thank you.
training are like the scholarship dollars that are awarded to the participants to enroll in training programs. Work-based training can be considered like an internship, work-based learning experience where participants can go on a job site, and that's where they obtain their training there.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
So, okay, you're welcome. Continuing on to page 5 of your packet, that is the WIOA 22 grant. We are in the first year cycle of the 2-year cycle for this grant. For this grant, by the end of June, we do have to meet an 80% obligation benchmark, where we have to document to the state that we have accounted for 80% of the funds that have been allocated to us. And that could be done via actual expenditures, accruals, and obligations to pay contracts as such. If you look in the middle section of your report, the obligations, you will see that for the adults, we are showing through the end of January that we have obligated 65% of the funds, dislocated workers at 46, and then we're showing that the youth funds are fully obligated through the end of June. This now only pertains to our unexpended contract funds. If you see the next little section within the obligations, you'll see how it makes up. We do show that through our projections, through our expenditure plan that was approved last spring, we will hit the numbers by June. And the reason it looks a little off is because I'm not allowed to report unexpended salary budgets, unexpended operational budgets. So all of that gets reported as it gets spent. Then at the bottom, again, for the work-based training, we do not have to adhere to that 20% until the end of next year, at the end of the 2-year cycle. Turning on to page 6 of your packet, that is the trade grant. We just continue on spending those funds. That grant is given to us at, on an as-need basis based on participants that come through the program for this. We are at 65% spent and obligated for this grant, and we have until September 30th to spend through all those funds. Any questions?
No, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Madam Co-Chair, we do have one more item for you. On page 48 of your packet, you'll find a resolution for the renewal of a contract that we have with Launchpad Careers Incorporated to provide software licenses and technical support for what we refer to as a customer relationship management system, or a CRM system. This is basically a customized web-based database that we have purchased a couple years ago, had constructed for our use, and it allows us to better track and serve our clients. As we discussed last month, at any given time, our office is maintaining relationships with literally thousands of clients throughout the 3-county workforce area. So the CRM tool, in essence, helps our staff as well as our subrecipient agencies to track those individuals and monitor their progress and performance. Finally, I do want to let you know that this contract was authorized by our Workforce Development Board, which, as you recall from last month, is the 3-county panel that oversees our workforce development programming. So at this time, we are asking that you approve this resolution and forward it on to the Finance Committee, I believe is the next stop.
And I believe the note on this is that this does get funded through the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, correct?
Correct. My
Yes.
office relies entirely on non-county funding.
Yes. Okay, then I need a motion and a second. For
Ford
this
moves.
resolution.
Strathman seconds.
Okay, Ford moves, Strathman second. Please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Young. Mr. Young? Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
passes.
Okay. Before we move on, I just wanted to say that the WIOA committee that generates these things for us, they did last meet on February 22nd, and we did not get invited. Thank you. But the next meeting is tentatively set for May 10th at 7:30 in the morning. And I'm sure that this committee will get an invite to that. Mr. Ford will make sure it happens.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't get it. I mean, Roth was on, you was on, right?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay.
It's out in the calendar. If you go look. you'll
Yeah,
see
it's on the calendar, but they usually
Since I'm
sent the
attending
reminder
majority of the
and link.
committees,
So, yeah.
it's just another on the list.
All right, I'll work on it. All
I apologize if
thank
we
you.
overlooked.
right.
This is Scott Berger. I certainly
Yeah.
apologize if we failed to directly reach out to you. I wasn't aware that that was
Yeah.
something you wanted, but we can certainly add you to the distribution list.
Yeah, if you would, it makes more sense when we review this stuff if we've listened to where it actually comes from. So I find them very interesting. So if you could make sure that we get on that distribution.
And Mr. Ford ran a very efficient meeting.
He does. He's wonderful.
We don't know what you're doing.
Moving right along. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Maria.
Madam Chairman, this is Alan,
Mhm.
question. Mr. Ford, could you just say a few words about that development board, about what? It's a huge body, isn't it?
It is. You want me to do it now? Or you want me to do it at the end of the meeting though?
Why don't you do it at the end of the meeting?
Okay.
And also, there's a website that we can go to through the county too. So if you do that, that would be great. Is that okay with you?
That's
I
fine.
would also suggest that you might take a look at your, this committee's last meeting as posted on the county website. I believe what you'll find is a PowerPoint presentation directly underneath your agenda.
Okay.
Just a reminder, I don't know if everyone was able to attend the meeting last month, but we did provide an explanation of the structure of our 3-county program. And just a reminder that the program is a joint venture between Kane, DeKalb, and Kendall counties.
Yeah.
It's not a Kane County program. We're simply charged with the implementation obligations for the program. But because it is a multi-county program, a 3-county workforce development board was established to oversee the program and make the decisions regarding the direction of the program.
And Scott, can you just mention how many people sits on the board so they get an
Let's
understanding?
just do the discussion now.
I don't want to do it.
It's in flux. Usually we have people coming and going quite often, but generally speaking, it's between 30 and 40 individuals.
Anything else you want?
I said, probably just sitting in would answer all of my questions.
Yeah,
so-
it is interesting, but you got to have your coffee because it's at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh,
So we'll look forward to May 10th, and I'll try to remind everybody at next month's meeting here that it will be. Alrighty. Any other comments by the co-chairs before we move on?
if you don't mind, I'd like to turn comments by the co-chair over to Ms. Strathman, who has a very interesting anecdote to share.
Oh, well, this is maybe new business, but yesterday I was at Elgin Community College. They received a grant, a bipartisan grant from Congress to the tune of $986,000 to build I think they called it a mechanitronics and robotics program. And they said that right now, there are 5,000 job openings in our immediate area.
Mhm.
And so this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. The class will be 200 to start. But they're going to be, they received this money yesterday. So, they will be receiving it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
They got the big check.
yeah, they had the big check
Yeah,
yesterday.
the big check.
But it was very exciting to hear about this program.
That's actually really good because it's important. We know that for our future.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Oh, and the other thing that I just wanted to mention is an article that I will share. Having to do with Illinois committing $13 million for a program expansion of what they call pre-apprenticeship. And apparently they started it last year with $13 million to 30 recipients. And the idea was that they would prep people in this program so that regular apprenticeship programs would be more likely to take these candidates because they had the training necessary to do that. And you may know all about that, but it was news to me. And the fact that it must have been successful in order to get a bunch more money. So we'd had a little conversation in committee about apprenticeships and how you get them. And it sounded like the unions were being very cautious about their apprenticeships, but here it looks like this is a pretty robust program. So I'm hoping for the best.
If you wouldn't mind, Madam Chair, And I believe that St. Augustine and Aurora is one of the recipients of some of that. I don't remember how much some of that grant. Pre-apprenticeship programs are very important for a lot of reasons. When it comes to technology, right now, our schools have enough to teach, which what they teach with the basic 3 hours as they used to call it. But to get into the details of teaching technology calls for you to really start going to college at the age of 8, 10, or whatever, to start getting into the details of that. So that's a difference, how important it is. That's a difference, and that shows how important it is to have these pre-apprenticeship programs, especially in the technology era.
Ms. Molina is saying in the chat, $500,000.
Microphone,
to St.
please.
Augustine.
Microphone, please.
Ms. Molina is saying in the chat, $500,000 went to St. Augustine.
Thank you.
I'm done. Thank you.
Oh, no more comments? Okay. Then let's move on to job committee priorities. Gentlemen,
Great morning to everyone today. I'll
Morning.
go ahead and give our RISE grant update. I have some wonderful news. Things are moving along great. We just finished up our open bids process Wednesday. And yesterday I was informed by procurement that we have 6 different applications to go through. So we are at the point now, we're working on the evaluation team and getting the evaluation team together to meet, to go through our proposals. I can't speak more to anything else about that at this point, but needless to say, they were all great applications, and it's going to take a good amount of reading to go through all of them, but we are really excited because everything's moving along at a great clip. And we're also working in conjunction with our another RFP that we put out, which Mark can talk more about an economic development consultant. We also are moving along on some of the other procedural things, and we're getting all our contracts signed and everything. So we're just at a great point. So next month, I hope to have some really great news to share with you about who we have selected to move through the process with.
okay, excellent. When you do that, give us a little, we love spreadsheets,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, of here's our 6 applicants and here's how we decided on this one based on this, this and this.
absolutely. And because of the open bid,
Colors on the spreadsheets, we like.
color.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Because of our open bidding process, we have to make sure that everything
Exactly.
is fairly in order. And if anyone asks how we went through our process, we'll have all that information. So absolutely.
All right, thank you very much. That's exciting. I would say you're up, Mark.
Yeah, great. Related to that, we also had a second RFQ for what we're calling an economic development advisor to kind of parallel the RISE grant consultant. That individual would advise the county board and Madam Chairman on the development of that strategic plan, as well as advising on how we work towards implementing and launching a economic development council or organization for the county. So we'll keep you posted on that. The other thing we anticipate this consultant doing is helping us better take advantage of our new relationship with the Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership and coordinating, working with the other counties and World Business Chicago on leads and opportunities that are coming into the region that we want to make sure that our municipal partners and the county is aware of. So we'll keep you posted on that as well.
How are we going to fund that?
That we're anticipating also funding either through the RISE grant or through ARPA funds.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. Any questions on item A, the RISE grant process? Okay, with that, I'll move on. Just a brief update with our ARPA projects. Previously gave a presentation to ARPA committee and to this committee on what our 5 projects that the development department has proposed. We're continuing to move forward on those 5 projects. The one that was just approved at county board last week was one of our agricultural recovery and sustainability projects for our livestock assessment study. So we'll be moving forward with that as well. And we continue to be very appreciative to Peter Phillips and the ARPA committee and our advisors, Ernst & Young, on working through the process on those. Any questions on that?
Yep, I think we're
Uh,
good.
And C, Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership is, most of you are aware, we had that was the subject of the committee of the whole late last month. And I'm happy to, continue to follow up any, questions that board members may have or that those presentations may have raised. As well. I will note that we're already receiving benefits from that partnership. We've seen an increased number of calls and leads and interest in Kane County that Chris has primarily been fielding. We have had access to World Business Chicago's research and data team. One in providing information when requested from a company from Austria. With specific data that we didn't have access to, as well as they're assisting us in specifically looking at economic forecasts and data and types of businesses around the Long Meadow Parkway corridor, which, is in Kane County, but it does benefit 3 other counties as well because of its location geographically. So that again is data and research that we wouldn't have had access to. We do have a resolution that is in the county board process. It went to this committee last month and went to finance committee and was tabled until this month. And that's a resolution that actually authorizes our first year financial contribution to this effort of $54,703, which is our pro rata share in the region, as well as authorizes Madam Chairman to sign the agreement, which is this agreement that's been developed for the 7 counties in the city of Chicago for this partnership. So, and again, I'm available to help answer any questions that anyone may have on that. And then lastly, we're grateful at the last board meeting, the board did provide consensus support for appointment of Steve Pistic as the county's business representative, particularly because of his experience and activity in the agriculture section, which is the largest part of our economy. And I think what Kane County uniquely brings to the region as well. So anyway, that's a lot, but it's very exciting what's happening in the region. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I don't see any questions online. Any in the room? Okay.
And Karen Miller is up next with the fabulous Fox Water Trail.
Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, I attended and spoke at the 11th Annual Fox River Summit up in Burlington, Wisconsin, which is a collaboration between the Fox River Ecosystem Partnership that covers the Illinois part of the Fox River watershed and the Southeast Fox River Partnership up in Wisconsin. And like I said, this is the 11th Annual Summit. There were a lot of good presentations. I also gave an update on the water trail, which includes the information that the National Park Service has passed our application on to the Secretary of the Interior. So it is now in her hands, and that will be the last step. So she will determine whether or not we will be designated. And I understand that decision will be made and announced by June 3rd, which happens to be National Trails Day. Also, hot off the presses, we have stickers.
Nice.
We have both large and small. This is part of our beginning of our marketing campaign. So if anyone is interested in stickers, please see me or email me and I'll make sure that you get them. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question for Ms. Miller. If somebody, I heard Mr. Caius talk about somebody presented their canoe trip from the headwaters to the,
Yes.
is there any information? I had somebody contact me who wanted to know where there would be camping availability
Mhm.
along that whole trail. Is there one point that I could get that information or refer them to that point?
Well, if you go to fabulousfoxwatertrail.org, we have an itineraries drop-down menu where we've created dozens of itineraries that you can choose from. And each of the itineraries will include detailed information about one access point to the other, and includes links to places you can stop, the towns along the way, and it also includes if there's camping.
Great.
That is something that we need to improve on, at least on the Illinois side, because we don't have a lot of camping along the river.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe next month, if we have a short agenda, maybe we can pull that up and you can kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Sure.
It sounds like a good resource for us.
Okay,
That'd be cool.
great.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Okay. Any other, I don't see any other questions online. Oh, sorry. So no other questions. I don't think we have any new business. And I don't think we have any public comments.
I'd like to bring up something, Madam Chair, for new business.
Okay,
All right. I think this been talked about offline a few times. When it comes to this economic development initiative, I think it'd be a good idea that somehow in a quarterly setting, that we get together with chairs of a few committees that are sitting, to be involved in a conversation about what is our next steps and where we at with the economic development, so it gets its own focus somewhere along the line. I have not ran this by Madam, our chair, but the conversation can start here.
Yeah.
And I just think it'd be a good idea to start that conversation about having some type of, I don't think it needs to be every month, but at least quarterly, because the process is gonna be not a fast part. I don't want to use the word slow, but it's not gonna be a fast process. But I think it'd be a good idea to set something in place like that, so that I think it's so important for Kane County to have that initiative I get so boiled inside, excited about it. Because the benefits, we talk about financial benefits, we talk about job opportunities, and then we talk about one that is something that's in my heart, is that when our youth who becomes a young adults graduate from college, they seem to leave the area.
Yeah.
And I got one that went 6 miles away because of job opportunity, and I'm afraid with my other two, somewhere along the line, they're gonna leave the state. So I'm very interested in that part of it.
Let's meet offline and kind of put something together and then get it to Madam Chair, because I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. Before we move on, I just wanted to mention something which I didn't mention earlier. 3 of us here were at the Aurora State of the City
Yes.
thing. Yeah, it's Mr. Ford and Ms. Bates, myself. And it was very interesting because he solely focused on the jobs and the businesses that are moving in. And he had it out at the Aurora Municipal Airport, because there's a big initiative. They're going to grow the airport. They're even going to grow it for international flights. And so one of the things he said was at the airport, he said, if you build a mile of road, you can drive a mile. If you build a mile of runway, you can go anywhere. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was kind of like their mantra. But he did talk about, that as far as driver for economic growth. One of the companies that is big out there and managing it now is a German company. And their thing out there is called Rev. And they're also doing a big development in downtown Aurora, which is going to be quite substantial. So, and he did highlight all the small businesses we have, but it was really quite interesting, because even living in Aurora, seeing all the stuff that's going on. Now, the one thing that I did not like, which, it was all the rah-rah stuff. And he didn't really talk a lot about like the community partners and sustainability and those other things. But all in all, it was very good. And the future in Aurora looks bright, doesn't it?
So bright, you gotta wear shades. I want to emphasize that, yes, I was there
Mhm.
and emphasize that the word sustainability was never mentioned. The impact on the people who live in Sugar Grove, if we grow that airport, was not mentioned.
I agree.
Development is great and sustainable development is even better. So I want to make sure that our Kane County, I'm looking across the room here, that we always keep sustainability and the environment in mind when we're talking about development. And I'd like to have a seat at that table when you call the committees together.
Yeah, and you would
Okay.
because one committee chair, so.
Mhm. And for jobs, these are environmental jobs that are coming down the pike. I think St. Augustine, is that a CEJA funded
I don't know.
program?
Yeah, I don't.
I
think-
forget. I've heard about it before, or maybe FIJA. But these jobs are going to be, a
You find the
lot of them are going to
pre-apprenticeship?
be,
It's comes through one of the Illinois.
Yeah, the pre-apprenticeship program?
yeah.
Things or
No, it
something.
comes from the funds that she had just mentioned in that,
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, it's coming from that. I would say about
May I see that article?
sustainability is that it is on the table. It just wasn't discussed. I brung up at State of the City. There's a lot of effort towards sustainability,
Well, I think,
and building up downtown Aurora really is about the sustainability of Aurora. But I don't want to get off subject. So, Scott mentioned that if you go back and look at last month's meeting, that he gave a great detail about workforce development. It is with the three counties, the three parts to it is the adult services, dislocated workers, and then the youth services. And the one thing about workforce development is workforce development does not do programs. What it does is it tries to find individuals that's looking for an opportunity and get them to a program somewhere for training. And those programs have to be approved. If they have a curriculum, that curriculum has to be approved by the state. And that's where, when we talk about opportunity that come from elsewhere, somebody else doing training, if they can meet all the qualifications that people, if you find somebody and they're doing some training, if they can get through the process, then they can get on the list with the state. If they're not on the list with the state, we cannot provide funds to them. You know, there's, I shouldn't say cannot, but it makes it harder to do that. So they have to have that ability to be certified and things like that. And I know there's been a lot of talk about other opportunities that seems to be free and things like that, but we have to have more details in order to pursue those, or have them, contact the Workforce Development Department to see how we can get them on the list.
Yeah. And that's why I also think like us, anybody who can listen into that, they'll get a lot more of the detail and the in the weeds kind of stuff that we don't talk about here.
Yeah, right. Because the state does dictate a lot of stuff that we do. It is not free flowing. It's the state controls a lot of what we do.
All right. Any other comments or anything for the good of the committee? Nope. You're all gonna go out and drink your beer. I know it. But as long as you drink it at pubs in Kane County and eat food in Kane County, it's good. I need,
Madam Chair, I ask for unanimous consent to place reports on file.
that would be lovely. Thank you, Gary. Okay. I don't see any objections, so let's do that. And there is no executive session. And so
Move to adjourn. Bates?
Bates moves to adjourn, second.
Already second.
Okay,